What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now Plus. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about 5 things the Avengers beta did right. Now, on my other channel, my main channel, Podcast Now, today, I'm going to be talking about things that it did wrong. So this is a more positive video. That is a more negative video. With that being said, just like I said in the Podcast Now video, I think this game, or this beta, is overall very, very solid. I think I have more good things to say about it than negative things. I think there's absolutely things that need to be fixed. But at the same time, again, I came away, honestly, pretty surprised. Now, I get it. The beta is not over. There's still 2 more weekends. We're going to be having more videos on both channels about this Avengers beta as the weeks go on, okay? So this is kind of just the start. But let's go over this. This is in no particular order, although I did write this with like the first things that kind of popped in my head, okay? So let's just start at number 1, the characters being unique. Now, again, leading into this beta, we talked about it. These characters do need to be very different, okay? You need to be able to feel like when you're playing as one, you're not playing as the other. Now, we talked about this yesterday on a video on Podcast Now with the story missions that, okay, yeah, you're gonna have kind of like button mapping that's the same for all the characters. Like every character's L2 and then R2 is something more of like a ranged attack. Like Kamala has the fist and Hulk throws things, and Tony shoots. There's different things that each character has. So you're gonna have that, but that's not that's kind of expected. That's not really what I meant or was talking about when I said that the characters need to be different from each other. Honestly, I do feel that when you're playing as one, you really do feel like you're not playing as the other. You know what I mean? And it does, honestly. And also, when we're talking about like the heroes themselves, tomorrow on Podcast, I'm going to rank them in terms of like which ones I think are the best. Honestly, though, they're all kind of close enough-ish where I do feel like I'm having enough fun playing as each of them uniquely where I want to kind of jump around, right? Where I don't have maybe necessarily a main. I kind of do, but I kind of alternate between them. So again, I think they did a really, really good job with that. Number 2 is fighting. Now, again, the gameplay, so I guess you can call this gameplay. It's not perfect by any stretch, okay? I wouldn't even say it's like, amazing, okay? In my book, the Alex vocabulary book, it goes like perfect, amazing's right underneath that. Incredible, I use that a lot. I use awesome a lot. Put that wherever you want to. That's kind of up to you to decide where I mean when I say stuff like that. But in all honesty, the combat's good. And I will say, if we're talking about things that it did right or the things that it did good, the combat, the gameplay is actually good. Again, it's not amazing, but it's a lot better, honestly, than I thought it would be. I thought it would be very, very repetitive. I thought it would get old very quickly. I like the powers, like the kind of like the super abilities that every character has, the skills and all that stuff. You constantly are learning new abilities, and as long as they have enough of them, which they definitely, I think, will, at least in the short term, you constantly feel like you're kind of gaining, you're kind of gaining knowledge of these characters, and they're able to do new things. So again, the characters themselves are pretty darn unique, and you definitely feel like each of them are individuals. And then in terms of the gameplay, I think it's fun enough. I think it's really cool, some of the moves that they can do. You feel like you've seen them before, whether it be in different TV shows or different movies or different comics. You feel like you've seen these kind of moves before, and to see them all kind of coming together in a video game is, maybe this isn't the video game that everybody had hoped or wanted for when, Avengers was announced that like they were going to do something like this, but there is something cool to see these characters doing these kind of move sets. You know what I mean? So again, I'm overall pretty darn impressed with that. Playing with friends is number 3, the fun of playing with friends. So, a negative would be the matchmaking. There is a lot of problems there. I talked about that on Podcast Now. The positive is when you actually get into the matches or the drop zones, the different missions, it is fun. Let me tell you, again, this kind of piggybacks off of what I just said. It may not be the game that we all wanted, but similarly in how, like, in Justice League, remember when they're all, like, coming down, whatever, like, the plane they were coming down, they're all kind of, like, in the line? There is, like, and that's not the Justice League I think anybody wanted, but there is always going to be something kind of cool with seeing these heroes together, or whether it be fighting or talking or interacting. You know what I mean? There's always going to be something special about that. So, again, this may not be what I thought, a Marvel's Avengers game would be, but playing it, and we live streamed it yesterday, played it with a bunch of people online, which was a ton of fun. Honestly, really, really fun. And that enhances the game. And I talked about that. That's what they need to really make sure they nailed. And honestly, they did. I really feel like they have nailed something like that. But playing with other people, well, firstly, it is just fun, I think, to play a multiplayer game with people. And secondly, when you're playing and, I'm Iron Man, let's say, and everybody else is all their own unique characters, and you're just going around, you're fighting, and you're seeing other people doing their moves and kind of handling stuff. and you're running around. You just see like Hulk running to your right. You know what I mean? It's just kind of cool to see that stuff going on. So I mean, again, they nailed that. I mean, that's something I think is kind of hard. Like say the Rocksteady Suicide Squad game. If they don't really put us in that Suicide Squad realm, where if we don't think it's cool, basically, to see the Suicide Squad kind of together, you know that's a major flaw. You know what I mean? So I think this game overall did that pretty darn well. Number 4 is the skills and the powers and all that kind of stuff. The whole kind of, I guess, not necessarily customization, although you could potentially say stuff like that, but really, again, the move sets and all that, I think is really solid. The skill tree, you know, we knew was going to be a pretty big deal in this game. They talked pretty, at length of how much they were putting into that and how characters have a lot of skills. Like, you're going to have a lot of skills to be able to unlock as characters, and that's true. Even in the beta, right? They haven't even given us all of them, but it's definitely true. Again, the power thing, I mean, I've never been a fan of that Destiny kind of gear stuff where you're getting a gear that looks green all of a sudden, or then it looks purple, and that means that it's a higher kind of rank, you know what I mean? Or like it's red, and it's like, oh my god, that's super elite. I really, and maybe that's an opinion that turns you off on me. I'm okay with that, if that's what you think, that's totally cool, by the way. But I mean, I'm just not into something like that, you know what I mean? I just really could care less about that kind of gear, so that doesn't really matter. But the fact of the matter is, you constantly are feeling like you're growing and getting more powerful, and I'll tell you that part I kind of like. I like the enemies kind of raising their levels to your level, although that is kind of an issue that they don't really take an average in this beta, that if you have somebody too powerful, the enemies are going to kind of reflect that, and if you're too weak, you're going to kind of be in trouble. I noticed that when I live streamed it. But again, I think overall, the skills, pretty darn cool. Customization, like in how these characters look, it is cool to see these characters in different outfits. Obviously, we don't have that many of them in the beta, but again, when the game actually comes out and we're seeing all these characters, you're playing online, maybe your character looks one way, but then you play with somebody else and they just look like completely insane, right, in their own unique way. That's a really cool thing. Honestly, that's a thing that I think does add some value to this game. And number 5, and honestly, this is the most important, and I'm honestly happy to report that I think it did it. Having us have a taste of it with this beta, okay, giving us a taste of it, and then having us want more in the actual game. I feel like that is the main goal of any beta. Now, again, you don't want people to play a beta and it be like terrible, and they're like, well, I'll just wait for the main game. That's not necessarily the wanting kind of approach that I mean. You know what I mean? I mean, like, okay, you've given us stuff. There's weaknesses. It's not a perfect beta. It's not a perfect game. It really isn't. But it's enough fun. There's enough stuff there where you're like, all right, I think this could be better, and there could be more, and I'm excited to see what more they have when the game fully drops, right? I think that's the goal of any beta, and honestly, I would say they did it. Now, again, when you guys are seeing this, I've only played it Friday and Saturday, 2 days. I'm going to play it Sunday, but obviously this video goes up before then. We'll see. Then we have the beta weekend, this upcoming week, and then we have it the week after. So maybe I'll get tired of it by the 3rd weekend. Maybe I won't even be, interested in it in the actual main game. So, honestly, things can absolutely change. I'm not saying, like, for sure this is going to be a great thing, but I'll tell you that as I am sitting here right now recording this, I am excited to, like, play it again. I'm excited to see what more they can add to this game. I'm definitely excited to see what other heroes they can add so I can see their moves and how they, how they act and all this kind of stuff. Like, I'm excited for that. And I think that's an important thing of any beta, is to have us enjoy what we have, but also want more. You know what I mean? Because then there's that want for the main game. People that, especially when we get the open beta, people are going to be playing that have not yet pre-ordered. So these are not, next weekend, starting next weekend for PlayStation at least, these are going to be people that are not like the guaranteed customers, right? I'm a guaranteed customer because I play it this weekend, which means I pre-ordered it, right? So they already have me. I guess I could cancel the pre-order, but for the most part, they have the people that played it this weekend. People next weekend, you're not guaranteed those people, right? So hopefully this kind of holds up into next weekend, but I'm interested to hear what you guys think. So what are some things that you think this beta did well? What are some things you think this beta didn't do well? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed to this YouTube channel. Hit the bell icon so you guys know when all these videos go up, and I do a brand new video on this channel every single day, and so I hope to see you guys for tomorrow's video.